Before we break down the, I think, potentially impactful news that will benefit Tennessee on today's show, we have a chance to beat our sub number from last year here on Titans Today. As soon as today, I don't think that sub difference there is that large. I think we can definitely gain ground. If you want more free Titans updates, we'll do some winners and losers this Sunday for you guys after the Week 2 preseason game. Hit that sub button right now. I think there's been two notable kind of behind-the-scenes developments as it relates to the overall National Football League. That is a big deal for them and for the Tennessee Titans. Let's begin with the whole Sunday ticket drama. Now, if you have not been paying attention, I don't blame you because it's boring. It's legalese crap, right? The NFL initially had lost a verdict in the Sunday ticket lawsuit trial of unfair practices, whatever. The jury had awarded it what was a $4.7 billion verdict against the NFL. And with the way the America antitrust laws operate, that could have actually been a $14 billion verdict. They can do it by 3 times there. However, the judge said, nope, we're tossing this out. Thinks that the experts were misleading once they testified. That the jury didn't follow the instructions at all. So instead of doing a retrial, he said, nope, I'm tossing the entire verdict out. Here's what U.S. News and World Report, I think, kind of lays out the details pretty solidly in terms of what this means here. Says the decision from Philip Gutierrez to vacate the verdict wipes away those damages with no retrial. The judge ruled the case could not proceed as a matter of law, which gave the NFL a full victory in the lawsuit and left the plaintiffs can persuade a federal appeals court to reinstate it. Now, this has been kind of appealed a couple times over the years, by the way. There can be another appeal. That one's not going to be easy to win. It's not overly common for one judge to say, yep, that was legal. Others just say, nope, that was not legal there. And if you do get the federal appeals court, the way this ends up going is this would then go to the Supreme Court. And I don't think there's any chance the NFL loses once it gets to the Supreme Court. I will remind people that if you did not know, Clarence Thomas happens to have a Super Bowl ring from Cowboys owner Jerry Jones. I wonder which way he's going to go in that case. I think the NFL, not officially, fully, all things cleared, I don't have to worry about losing this lawsuit. So that is, instead of having to pay $14 billion, you're having that back into your fold to continue the growth of the salary cap. That is not the only good news, I think, as it relates to potential salary cap growth, which means more spending for teams like Tennessee, by the way. Before we get to that, what year did you guys become a Titans fan? We'll make this the pinned comment, by the way, on today's video. So let me know, what year did you join the Titans fandom? The Washington Post, this was a couple weeks ago, but I think still timely and relevant here, that the NFLPA is engaged in high-level discussions about the NFL, about a potential 18-game regular season, according to NFLPA Executive Director Lloyd Howe. He's saying, quote, we have talked at a very, very, very high level, superficially, with a recognition about, yeah, this is something that we should be talking about. And we should really kick the idea, or really kick the tires to understand what else goes into that decision-making process. Look, Roger Goodell has openly campaigned for an 18th game. That has been something that he has advocated for previously. Joe Burrow, or Goodell, again, he mentioned this about the private equity stuff, which I'm not including. Good point to bring this up. I'm not including the private equity angle in the ownership side of things as part of this. I think there is the possibility that it leads to increased revenue for NFL teams. You could add private equity funds and spend more money. That's a slippery slope, I think, to an extent. So I'm not going to count that as a win yet. Also don't know if the NFL is going to allow it, but that's in potential pipeline too. You know, Joe Burrow has mentioned the 18-game schedule, which I think he's right, by the way. You add an extra bye week, and I think that's actually a very big deal because not only are you getting one extra game, you're getting 2 more weeks of NFL revenue from a TV contract perspective. Hey, you're paying this for 18 games, 18 weeks of football? Now you got to pay this for 20 weeks of football. That's more revenue for NFL teams. Here's what else Lloyd Howe said. The simple fact of the matter is when you have a growing enterprise and there are opportunities within that intervening period of time where progress could be made and you could tweak the existing CBA legal document, why wouldn't you want to do that? I call it bargaining. I call it amendments. I call it updates to what is now a living document called a CBA. Yeah, I want to be able to have our membership in a position to jump on it when we can and not wait until their playing days are done. And it's like you can go through the cycle all over again. So why is this all good news for Tennessee? From a simple economics, mathematics perspective, more games equals more revenue, more money, more income for NFL owners and teams, and that means it has to be a bigger salary cap. There is a share of the profits that goes to the teams and goes to the players. Salary cap is how you increase that profit. No Sunday ticket verdict means there is no billion-dollar payout, which means the projected rise in the salary cap can continue to be pretty strong instead of the NFL, having to bump up that 18-game schedule and redo everything, and some of it goes to the payout there, which would have been, I think, a little bit less growth in the salary cap, maybe. But now that's off the table altogether. You're going to have some big-time opportunities for salary cap growth. Football season is back, and so too is PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 daily fantasy app with over 5 million active members. It is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. You pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. That goes for regular season games and also season-long PrizePicks options. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000 just like that. They've got promotions throughout the week and days. Stat projections get lowered on Tuesdays to help your lineups hit, for example. I am also a big fan of the flex play. That means you can get 2 out of 3 right and still win. Now, the payout's going to be a little bit lower, but I'm really good about getting 2 out of 3 right or 3 out of 4 right. I was like 3 of 16 last year on my PrizePicks slates with getting all 3, but was like 13 of 16 with the flex play. Makes it a no-brainer. Season-long wide receiver receiving yards PrizePicks. I love to go with the more than because they're kind of already taking the injury risk as part of it there. I think Calvary is going to put up 1,000 yards for Tennessee. I think T. Higgins does that in Cincinnati. And I'll take the risk of Cooper Kupp staying healthy. So more than on all 3 of those. So download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code CLNS over at prizepicks.com/CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy with PrizePicks. I think salary cap space matters in this conversation here, right? These are the projected numbers from over the cap, relative to the projected salary cap rise. Could be a little bit more. We saw a surprise jump last year, right? $27 million next year, that's 13th. $100.67 million in 2026, that's 14th. 202 in 2027 because there's like 13 players at most under contract for all teams. That's how it works, The Titans spent some big money this past offseason. They're still working to build out their roster. And that is okay for where this organization is currently at. So the salary cap continuing to rise at a 10% clip, give or take, is a pretty big deal. We'll see what the actual numbers end up looking like there. They've had really good growth overall despite the down year from COVID. I think we're 2 years away, maybe 3, from truly being at a $30 million salary cap. That's insane growth. That means more money can be spent on players, more talent can be added, if you are aggressive. So what is your confidence level in the Titans front office? Scale it for me from 1 to 10 in the comment section of today's show. Again, in short, 18 games plus no lawsuit, more revenue, more salary cap increase, more spending ability. In fact, you actually have to spend more because there are limits, or there are minimums you have to hit on your salary cap spending. And look, I know that the sticker shock of contracts is real, but that is because of the rise in salary cap. As crazy as the quarterback contracts are right now, the percent growth has only been about a couple of percentage points over the last few seasons. It's only like 2 or 3%, depending on where you fall in the contract status. That's just because the salary cap has skyrocketed. That's how it works. If you're a league average spender in terms of cash spent, not salary cap, cash, there is a difference, You can spend more cash than you have cap if you structure contracts properly. You're kind of at a disadvantage. The Browns have spent ridiculous amounts of cash by pushing money off into the future, which is fine. Because if you always borrow from the future and the salary cap always continues to rise, you're actually maximizing your short-term spending ability. And that is especially true when you have quarterback contracts. When you have to pay big money and push the salary cap hits out in the future to maximize your current window. And that could come into play as soon as next offseason with Tennessee. This year, about figuring out if Will Levis is the future at QB for the Tennessee Titans. You can't even actually pay him yet until a couple years from now because you have to wait till after the third year of his career. But you want to figure out sooner than later, is Will Levis the guy? And I think Tennessee has taken steps to help determine that. We'll talk about that here in a minute. But is Will Levis the future at quarterback for the Titans? Y for yes, N for no. Sound off for me in the comments section. In an ideal world, you figure out this offseason if Will Levis is your franchise guy. And if he is, then you kind of can start to budget 2 years from now how you want to structure your contracts, how aggressive you want to be in the short term with adding extra talent to maximize the rookie contract window and then pay him big fat bucks after. And if he's not the guy, again, ideally you got to be aggressive to find the guy. Otherwise, your front office, coaching staff, they are not going to last. That's the short shelf life of coaches and GMs in football. That could be a new draft pick. Maybe it's a bad year in Tennessee. You're picking top 5. You draft somebody else, which means you're not spending money on your quarterback for at least 4 more years, basically. Maybe it's 3. But even then, the contract won't really hit you. Spend that cash on the rest of your roster. Be aggressive. Try to do his best with what the Bears did. Have all these assets and build a good roster around the QB. Drop them in. Go win now. Or, if you don't like the quarterback class, you got the cash available. You could throw money at a Dak Prescott if he actually hits free agency. And you could drop in a top 10 quarterback kind of quickly. And with the rising salary cap, you'll still have the ability to pay other guys. What's noteworthy, by the way, is Tennessee doesn't really have that much of their current core not under contract. Hopkins is your notable free agent this upcoming next offseason. You can't even pay Roger McCreary right now. He'll be a free agent in 2026, so you could do that after this upcoming season. Harold Landry has a few more years on his deal. Jeffrey Simmons. You're still several years away from Peter Skoronski, J.C. Latham, the running backs, if you want to go that right. The Titans' core is mostly locked in or young and super cheap, which puts them in a pretty unique position of being able to be aggressive in free agency again next offseason. Or go be aggressive and acquire assets and get that early draft pick or do something there. So I think a rising cap does benefit Tennessee.